Before we start off with our presentations, I would just like to give you a short introduction of WSI. Sorry, have I formally welcomed you for today? Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here with us to attend the Together is Power. Every school has a right to be safe in partnership with Philippine Society of IT Educators of Central Luzon and Catholic Educators Association of the Philippines. So before we begin today's session, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Jordan Nicolas. I'm from WSI Marketing Team, and I will be your host for today's event. So our company, WSI or Wordtext Systems Inc., has been in the business for 38 years as a pioneer and one of the leading ID distributors in the Philippines. We offer complete solutions for your business across industries. We have solutions for infrastructure, design, printing and imaging, security and backup, and communications. As of date, we are carrying more than 40 brands, of which we are going to present for today to you for today is McAfee and Ubico. So if you have any requirements in the future, our main office is in Manila and we have branches in Cebu and Davao that you can contact from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. from Mondays through Fridays. Or you may send an email at sales@wsifil.com.ph. So for more information about the WSI and the services we offer, we have our official website, that's wordtext.com.ph, and we also have our official social media accounts. We have Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Please feel free to like and share our content to your liking. And lastly, I would like to introduce, on behalf of WSI, our e-commerce site, WeSellIT.ph, the first pure IT e-commerce site in the Philippines for small and mid-sized businesses. WeSellIT offers a wide range of hardware and software brands, including McAfee and Ubico. If you want to know more, you may reach us after this webinar or just go directly to WeSellIT.ph. So before we formally start our webinar, I'd just like to give you the house rules. So this webinar is actually recorded and an email will be sent to you to download the materials and watch the recorded videos. If you have any questions, please feel free to type in the chat box and we will answer it later on during the Q&A portion. And then feedback form will be flashed on your screen later on. And lastly, there will be a quiz game for everybody. The prizes will be through GCash accounts. We'll announce the prizes later. Um, there's also a raffle draw at the end of the session. So we will be generating your entries through your feedback forms. Thank you. So to start off with our presentations, I'd like to call on Ms. Jen Pasqua to give her welcome remarks and introduce her team. Ms. Jen.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, McAfee team. Good morning, Ubico team. And as well as the, most importantly, the PSITE team and the SAYA team and some LGU agency in the call today. And I'm so thankful that you give us this chance to give you some insights about the solutions that we are offering now in the market. Along with me is the Miss Katia Fernandez, the Channel Sales Manager of McAfee, and also our presenter today, Mr. Anton Orpilla, the Solution Engineer of McAfee. And as well as our group heads, Alain Orlanes, he's also from Wordtext. Okay, so without further ado, thank you, and I hope you can get more information or learnings from the presentation today that we prepared for you. Okay, thank you. Back to you, Jordan.
Thank you, Ms. Jen. So to start off our presentations, I'd like to give the screen to Mr. Anton Orpilla, the Solution Engineer for McAfee Philippines, to give us his presentation about McAfee's technology on preventing cybersecurity breaches and its benefits. Sir Anton.
Hi, good morning. Good morning.
Yes, Anton. Good morning.
Morning,
Anton.
Hi, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
All right. All right, and clear. Yeah. So, thank you very much to Miss Jenny and to WSI as well. Anyhow, I will, and of course to PSITE and everyone who have attended this webinar. Um, I'll just let me share my screen for a while. Give me a second. All right. Um, Good morning, everyone. Second check. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
All right. All right.
yes.
Apologies, we had to always check if you're audible and if you can see our screen share. So anyhow, good morning, everyone, and I'm also I'm very thankful also and blessed to be invited here to PSITES as well for extending our reach to the universities and to the academe. No? Anyhow, sorry, I have to share. I have to share a very general topic in terms of data protection and cybersecurity. Now, before we go through the solutions of how to protect ourselves. Sorry, in this time of very unique, very trying times, and and very challenging times in our setup or in our how you call this in this time of our access to our cloud applications. So anyhow, this material, in case that you wanted to download it, it is also accessible via Google Classroom. So anyhow, I just wanted to explain what is data first. So we know that data, as we access the internet, we use a lot of our data. May it be from data, may it be massaged towards information, may it be wrangled towards being a research, and this research becoming insights. And this data can be stored in a lot of forms. It can be in the database, it can be structured, unstructured, it can be the form of like what we're doing right now via sound, can be via image, can be also a video. And every day, as they said that as we connect to the internet, it's increasingly growing. And sorry, that's very redundant. No? It's growing every day, and it's increasingly very challenged for us to even manage it. And that's the reason why there is a term what we call big data. I borrowed this to an organization which I am also a member, the Analytics Association of the Philippines, that this is the cycle of data every day. That very similar to what we have mentioned earlier, from data towards information, towards insights, then we derive decision. In very good in a very good path to use data for good decision making, especially right now in this time of pandemic. That the data that we collect, the data that we curate, and what we decide from research. That's the time that we also decide on how to resolve problems, not to manipulate or not to provide misinformation to the public, right? So with data, there are very crucial things that we need to handle, especially personal information. May it be our name, address, in combination of all of these attributes, it becomes very personal. These are pure personal information. For me, this is already sensitive. Combination of my name, where I live, and my date of birth, for example, and even my signature. If I combine these two very more sensitive information, as I said, this can be already used to other aspects. Of course, as we wanted it to be secured, no? But anyhow, no, with the combination of these attributes towards all of this sensitive information, it can more discriminatory. It can be also cause us harm. So in combination of all of this information, these are the data that we are that needs to be protected. By the way, I just wanted to highlight the terms digital. When we say digital, we are already exposing some of our data in the internet. Digital identity, no? Some of this information, I already share it to the internet, is already a digital identity. There's also what we call digital footprint and digital DNA. Right? So anyhow, then we we anchor it to data governance. No? Who are handling our data? It can be ourselves. It can be also the institution. It can be also the bank, or it can be also the government who are handling this data. So in data governance, there is what you call privacy. There's also what you call security, and there's what you call compliance. In privacy, as we know, as we have alluded earlier, as as we use the applications, as we use services in the internet, uh, um, in this fourth industrial revolution, as they said, we're using a lot of internet data. As long as we use the services in social media, no? As we use the internet services, privacy is already lessening. So as we have shared in this chart, there's what we call the end of privacy, and privacy, as they said, is best served how we limit or how we say that it's inaccurate. How the consumer says that this data or this information is inaccurate. So as we share it as pristine in the internet, it's already end of our privacy. So that the challenge is how do you balance privacy with a good intention or with utility. And I'm referencing one of quoted from Paul O. Data can be either useful or insightful, as they said, or perfectly anonymous, but never both. Right? So with if I also anchor it towards a research, the more that it is pristine, it's very accurate. The more that we share it out there, it can be already somewhat curated, can be or maybe also changed, or as misrepresented, right? So the most ideal time that, or the most ideal area or set, how they call that sector, will be at the middle, no? Somewhat accurate and somewhat private. No? So there's the ideal area for representing that, right? I believe for being balanced in terms of accuracy and privacy. Okay? So in this chart, in this curve, the most ideal is at the balance is in the middle, no? In this area. Right? But again, if it is not, if people don't have access to the data, then it's not. It is already anonymous, as they said. But again, it is in pristine state. right? So we go to security. In data governance, there's what is still there's still area this thing called security. And up to this date, there's still what you call the triad of security. And one of it is very close to accuracy, which is confidential. Second, integrity. Again, there's what you call the accuracy of data, and some part of the information security or subdomain of it is availability. No? So from confidentiality near to accuracy, integrity, is it accurate and whatnot, and can we access it? So in these three areas or domain of information security, this is up to date. To this date, it's still applicable. And doing an analysis for that, as we use technology, um, there is already a generation of data, as we have alluded to earlier. As we use technology, there is 2.5, as this is just a metric, bytes of data each day. May it be the form of all of what we are doing right now, may it be the form of social media, may it be a form of structured information. And I might not be accurate already because when I did this paper a year ago, there's already 40,000 searches conducted every second via Google. And with technology as well, as we are creating applications every day, there is also a lot of data being used to use application. Very, I know it's already the startup week, which is being held by BIC, and there is a lot of others new ideas that are being shared to us. But again, if we don't think about technology security in within those ideas, no, I will not use that application then because as ideas coming out, as software is coming out, there's also vulnerability that is being exposed with those applications, with those ideas, with those technology. And in the side of defense, in the side of managing the softwares, it is very getting complex with the emerging technologies, the likes of Internet of Things. It's not just interface that we're handling over mobile, our smartwatches, our connected device. Um, there's also an avenue where hackers is using we're getting in our systems. And with one of the emerging solutions, technologies, the likes of artificial intelligence, hackers is even using it to penetrate our systems, to author malwares. Anyhow, and I was quoting also Willis Weir. She's one of the cybersecurity pioneer in the world. That the only computer that's only completely secured is a computer that no one can use or use less. So similar to data, the computer that is not connected, the internet, it's full of security controls. You cannot use it. It's not useful because it's just there. No? But again, if it serves its purpose, if it's doing a backup or it's being used for just storing information, it's like a safe and of use. But again, computer is with its own um, computing speed, with its own specification. It needs to be, it needs to be, it needs to process information, it needs to do its computing stuff and so on and so forth. But again, this is one of what Willis Vera has quoted, and the enemy for any security or any defense is complexity. Anyhow, um, for the third part of data governance, no, third pillar, um, uh, in the United States, no, there's a lot of laws, there's a lot of IIR that they said, the implementation rules and regulations that are being enforced. In last year, when I browsed through and I interviewed some of the cybersecurity professionals, there are 150 plus or even 200 of the states that are being proposed in just 25 states. No? And in 45 states, there are 250 plus information also. So they're very careful. They're not paranoid. No? They're very, uh, how do you call it, strict in terms of laws, in terms of data alone. And because of data, you know that even on in our side as in academia, they are very critical their IP, their intellectual properties, and just complying to accreditation to all of these consensus or these laws, it costs them up to 100 plus billion a year. In the Philippines, if we gone through the Data Privacy Act, as we have authored earlier in 2012, 2013, technology alone, no, is not resolving anything. It's already complementing what we can enforce, but if you don't enforce it by practice, if you don't enforce technology by practice, it will not be um, it will not be achieved. All of these IRR in our data privacy law cannot be achieved. I just highlighted that these are just the technology area. But if you see, there are, how do you call that, even guiding principles, penalties, and rules in focusing in what we do as a user or consumer of data. Uh, and in I believe that in data privacy or what we call that the accuracy that we had mentioned, in combination of the technology that we use, may it be the technology that we use in our computers, in the technology that the provider of our cloud application has, in this combination altogether, that's the time that we will achieve data protection. Uh, So, so it's a cycle. No? It's not exact science even. So all of this all together, that's a time that we will achieve data protection. So of course, with these three aspects are data protection of data governance. So we can circle back to that. And in this fourth industrial revolution, no, as from the book that I also have read, before no, oil was the one that um, giving life to the industrial in our industry. No? But up to this fourth industrial revolution, data is the oil, no? And it's giving us um, all of the decisions, especially in this time of pandemic. The data is the one giving all of the decisions to any companies right now. So what they collect as data, it be true or not, or more information, it's the driver of their growth and even the growth to their decisions and even decisions to changes as well. And then with that, in terms of protection in the defense, um, the more that we encounter a lot of stolen information, it can be also analyzed to administrators' loss of care. Um, in my company, in the corporate world, I was joking that he lost a lot of his hair uh, because of a lot of the data loss challenges. So anyhow, just wanted to share about data loss. You know. So data that's we are discussed earlier um, are used and that the same vector where hackers is also stealing information. So data loss vectors, data in motion, as we transfer data in the internet via a lot of these channels, maybe in the browser, maybe in the email, maybe in our chat applications in our mobile. So that's in data in motion. So that's one vector where data loss is occurring. So even in hackers, they look into that as well. You connect to a public Wi-Fi, that's data in motion. Data at rest. You lost your device, you lost your laptop, or someone uh, has an access to your server or your laptops, they can already exfiltrate data, steal data. Or while you are editing your information using Google Suite, for example, or Office 365, or any online tool, as long as what we're doing, what we are editing, that's data in use. So same thing. So it's all of these vectors is the same vector where hackers steal information, made in form of images, made in the form of text. But again, our login information, our credentials that we are keying in is also data. So anything that we use technology, use the internet, that's already data. Right. So now we anchor about cybersecurity. I want to explain cybersecurity. I believe we PSITEs have already collaborated with the ICT and other organizations out there and discuss about cybersecurity. But I'll go directly to the importance of cybersecurity. First, we're thinking about data protection. Um, of course, in cybersecurity, it's already protecting our data, our personal information, with the help of technology. And of course, it's giving people the peace of mind to continue their job, continue our research, our education as well. And also, it keeps us saying, it gives us not only the peace of mind, but it gives us the continuous flow of our jobs. So I already have related this with the pillars of cybersecurity, which is people, process, and technology. Altogether, and these three pillars with the importance of cybersecurity. So I went directly to the importance on what is cybersecurity. But as they said, do we need cybersecurity? Do I need to learn and be aware of cybersecurity first? No? And then some of the question is that the problem of IT, that the problem of a technical person. That said, but cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. It's your responsibility. It's my responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility because we are all in this together. It's not only the IT folks, the owner of that application. It's not because of our administrators. So as we have alluded earlier as well, anyone who uses technology or computer should understand how to protect or how to uh, be responsible of our data and how to make it secure. So right, we should not blame the government even if, as if you don't want our data to be compromised, you shouldn't be even sharing our data. No, but again, this is the reality. We have to collaborate with our government agencies to share our data. So anyhow, and ever since that, even as me as a developer, as an educator before, up to this date, no, uh, there's still a 90 to 10 rule. 10% of security safeguards are technical, maybe in the form of technology or security controls, but 90% of the security rule is rely on the end user as the end user. If we have the right processes in enforcing data protection or even cybersecurity, right? And just wanted to also share. Um, so since we're discussing about cybersecurity, what are the hackers? So we've been hearing gray hat, white hat. Just a very top of our mind. So if you said it's a black hat or a red hat, that those are your hackers. If you see that a blue hat or a white hat, that's already your defenders. No? But if you're in the middle, there you are also what you call curious ones. You wanted to see what are they doing. No? These attackers, these defenders, and there are even other representations about that. Um, these are some of those representations that I will not go to each every um, types of it. Just to give you an information that these are uh, those types of hackers. Remember, every time I ask some of the students in my domain, no, in Baguio and downtown, what is a hacker? They always ask me, sir, a hacker is the one that can steal the credentials of my crush in Facebook. That is not hacker. No? For my term, a hacker is discarded. Smart way of doing things. No? So anyhow, that's the type of hackers. No? And these are some of the representatives. Right? Now we go to the types of attacks. No? We've been seeing a lot of this in a lot of our webinars and talks. And at the end of the day, there are a lot of these motivations that they wanted to steal information. They sell this information somewhere in the dark web. They have an ounce or they have they wanted to do revenge as well, and some other motivations they wanted to have a social or political point, or they wanted to disrupt the way of life. That's what we call national security. In case that we don't already have our someone hack to our national grid, right? Let's say the electricity, or someone hacked on um, our water system. Of course, that will cost me. I quoted a TV series that I'd watched, Mr. Robot. He is, of course, these are two personalities. He's an employee. Just so happened that the split personality, not a bipolar, maybe a bipolar, but a split personality of himself is already the mastermind of a hacking group or a notorious group. So we know that there's Anonymous PH, Anonymous Visayas, Anonymous Luzon, Anonymous uh, Panga, Anonymous Cebu, and all of that, right? There's our local groups as well. And very, very fictitious movie that I've also seen, God Almighty can change, can manipulate all of the minds of all of the people. Yeah, that's a fictitious one. And I already also shared some of the tools that hackers have been using in the dark web. That's the other side of the internet. Anyhow, we will be elaborating that later. So one of the cyber attacks that we've been seeing all throughout the social engineering. Um, this social engineering is the use of email. In short, this is scamming, as we have seen. No? So there's a lot of forms of social engineering, and maybe email, internet, and telephone trick. Sub Sub type of social engineering is dating. No? Is Now it's luring luring a user to or someone to share information or data. You know? So one type of baiting even is scareware. If I'm not technology savvy, I might be prompted with this one. So sorry, I have got I'm even a user of Windows 95 and Windows 98. Some of these are the scarewares of those operating system. If I am prompted this one, it will already change my point of view that I'm already infected. So I might be I might be persuaded to share my information. So this is one type of baiting, which is scareware. And two of the books that I have read and reference as well is the book of Kevin Mitnick, one of the pioneer hackers of the world. Even there's what they call the art of infusion and art of deception. And one of the social engineering techniques that we have done is the tailgating, going into the building. Uh, that's physical hacking. Once you already have penetrated a building or let's say a bank, and you gone to a computer of a teller or a computer of an IT or administrator, that's it. Already been hacked. Okay? So this is one form of social engineering. And we have seen a lot of this one. Uh, uh, One type of phishing that we have seen, one form of phishing is deceptive phishing. No? It's using legitimate logos. I will I will be persuaded in clicking the link of this one because it's coming from a legit one. But again, if we're not being careful, um, if we don't scrutinize the email, we don't scrutinize the contents, we overlay. If I am not the technical savvy, no, I might be persuaded in clicking the links here, and they might be stealing already some of my credentials. No? Might be in the form of the web sessions, or it might be dropping malwares at the middle of it. And one type of phishing, subtype again, of social engineering na, there's phishing, there's another type of spear phishing, is targeting top level management. Uh, Sorry, that's whaling. Sorry, spear phishing for now, it's using your identity. Sorry. So if I'm not using my whole name, for example, in my Gmail account, anton.orpilla@gmail.com. So for example, Thomas.Edison, for me, this is already somewhat a legitimate one, but this is very suspicious because it's asking for account name. We've learned that they don't disclose our account name, account number, in emails as well. So going to whaling, as I mentioned, this is targeting top level management. Up to be honest, no, it's not only targeting the executives of that organization. Some of them have lesser control security, but they're targeting even the sons and daughters, top level management. They're socially engineering those sons or daughters, giving them USB drives or chatting with them, letting them install applications in their mobile applications or mobile devices, and when they connect to their home router, home Wi-Fi, there's a time that they steal the credentials of that level management. And when this top level management goes to their offices, at the end of the day, their devices have been compromised. Right? So those are the journey of these hackers. So anyhow, that is a type of social engineering. And in the Philippines, there's a lot of these cases in NBI. And one type of social engineering is not only impersonating via email or social media, but also in terms of call. There's a lot of technologies just recording your tone, your modulated voices, the wavelengths of our voices. As technology, they can even impersonate you in your voice as well. And if you go to YouTube, for example, conferences that I participated also years back, that's what you call DEFCON, is the hacking conference of the Philippines. We have our own local, we call it RootCon, one the North from Hack the North.ph, TCon. If you just search about crying baby DEFCON, we just the use of a background sound of a crying baby and calling a contact center, a call center, she's able to hack and to have an access to a corporate account. This is a telco account. So it can be your banking account already. There's already two-factor challenges, but because of the panic, because there's a crying baby at the background, so the contact center was persuaded, socially engineered, and given information to the social engineer specialist. In this sample, no, the link, you can watch the video. You can just search YouTube and type "crying baby deaf phone." You will see the actual workflow, the style of the able to access and even given administrative permission to that account. It's really happening up to this day because it is scamming. Social engineering is scamming. And apologize that I use this uh, from a specimens that I have. I'm not against the telco or even the broadcasting company. These are types of social engineering. We call it SMS phishing or smishing, as we term it now. So a lot of people are being scammed up to date. No? In this time of pandemic, they're even using COVID-19 as a tag to steal information. It's very sad. And if you have seen the news from news TV, no, it's very hard for NBI and PNP to coordinate with telco and just to catch a lot of these hacking. And very sad here, it's even a student, he already have scammed parents of his classmates, uh, his and her, or her classmates. And that's not specifying a person, but this is already a form of social engineering, right? And in our domain, these are the industries which are targeted by hacking. So majority in this time of pandemic, healthcare even, and these are just statistics. This metric is not fixed, so it is growing interchangeably, um, shifting as well. So that coming from industry, coming from different countries, these are threats, no? Cybersecurity threats, and even creation of applications. Since we're technologies, no? Even creating applications. This is one application from iOS. No, that of course I am very curious about the corona or the COVID-19 virus. I downloaded this application. It is already with it contains already a lot of suspicious codes or suspicious applications. If I am not, I might be already detected. No? In the dark web, no, if you browse to those dark web, there's a lot of, they call it fake news. For me, I don't use fake news. It's misinformation, and even in social media. So there's a lot of forms of social engineering uh, that are out there. It's very sad that they're using this information. In my role as well, internally, this is our tool that we track and probe tags with the use of COVID-19. So in Philippines alone, this is a March metric that in Philippines alone that there are mentions of COVID-19 that is anchored with a threat, cybersecurity threat. Even the John Hopkins, there was this website that can that can cause a lot of mayhem because of panic. But again, this is a fake website if you've seen it. And but this is the real one, John Hopkins. They provide the real metric of actual cases of the pandemic. Right? But good thing, there we have Chrome, for example, Chrome browser that are providing us with some reminders or warnings that some of the websites that we are accessing might be fake, or a deception. one form of social engineering or hacking, as they said, is uh, creating fake websites. So in the eye of a person, if I access the mobile, if it's a banking website, I will log in. I will key in my online account. Of course, that's already stolen. It's a deceptive website. So not all browsers have this warning. Not all browsers can detect if that is fake or not. So this is just a sample of even in email, there's already a help in our the applications that we're using. So if the email has fake content, if it is a phishing email, there's already a warning that actually provided. So again, this is a use of the World Health Organization. But if you see the domain at who-ph, some users use zero capital letters with a zero. So in the eye of a person, that can be already legit. Anyhow, there's already protection. And if you're not very attentive, then we might miss it. But not all email services out there is protective and whatnot. So second form of cyber attack. So that's social engineering. We have a lot in social engineering. But I wanted to also give you what is malware. My first job in the industry way back 2000 plus. I can compute my age already. Uh, I used to do reverse engineering of malware. And they still use all of these channels to propagate malware. It can be an email attachment, it can be the USB. So these are the tools of social engineering specialists as well. So hacker starts their journey from social engineering and these types of tools, and these types of propagation. And and in the family of malware, these are the types of malware. There are virus, Trojan, and so on and so forth. Right? So virus, as we know, in our real life, these are infection. And just wanted to share that the types of infections that we have, they state themselves from our programs, our documents. Right? Just wanted to share some of the types of infection. It can change your file, it can attach its file at the end of the file, it can be altering even the file when you execute or open a file, it can launch already there. Some of the sophisticated values it can be also ABT. So, and if I'm not very careful, once the icon or the type of the extension changes, that's already a file. But using an icon in Windows of a folder in the eye of a person is already a folder for me. If I double click it, just so happen that it's already an executable. um, so that is somewhat. If we observe here, this is an executable. No? But again, one type of evasion, we hide the extension and change the icon. Right? So those are the types of infection. So these are the type of malware that is compiled. In terms of technology, if you compile it in C++, Visual C++, and to our unexecutable, that is one form of malware. But up to this date, there are other forms of malware. It can be also in the form of scripts, JavaScript, Perl script, Visual Basic script, and so on and so forth. One of the known scripts, which is the author is um, Filipino. No? He is an author of the I Love You virus. No? What he done, uh, he just wrote a script, attach it over an email. That script opens the address book of uh, the email. No? In this specimen, this is an Outlook, Microsoft Outlook. So it opens the address book of um, that user who opened the script and propagates it and uses all of that addresses and propagates itself. So, before, so it's already a script virus, is also a worm virus. So you see that this malware or this virus or this script authored by a Filipino, I love you virus. For me, I will be very curious because it's an I love you, then I double click that. So this also a form of social engineering. So if you open the source code of I love you virus, it's very simple, no? But it inspired a lot of virus writers worldwide. So he's working in Pentagon right now as a cybersecurity consultant and a mentor as well. And of course, Trojan, what that Trojan, just to give you one Trojan type is a keylogger. We don't know that that Trojan is hidden in our operating system as we type and encode and perform our daily business as usual, no, our jobs. There is already data being stolen from us. It can be our credentials, it can be our files. So what Trojan does, it's very evasive. It hides and it evades even antivirus or it evades other protection mechanisms that we've been using. Right? And very similar to the I love you virus, no? We have worm. For worm, it propagates itself. It has a copies of itself via email, via workstation, and so on and so forth. So these are the propagation mechanisms. So nowadays there is form of propagation via social media. It can be a form of file. It can be a link that someone impersonated you or have access to your account and propagate it to your friends. A link. So those are some of the means and ways that word even gets propagated or any forms of malware. And as we have expounded earlier, scareware or spyware, they're even creating pop-ups. So it's not only pop-ups nowadays, no, it can be also the form of ads. So the ads can, if you go to a very notorious website, can if you mistakenly click on an ad, it can already drop a malware. It can already steal your session and use your web session. And most popular up to this date is called ransomware. Very short of this, it's form of malware that encrypts your file and lets you pay this amount to a cryptocurrency. Again, cryptocurrency doesn't disclose the identity of the account. Diba? Uh, they say that it's secured, but it's being used by hackers, and specifically in ransomware because they ask you to pay via Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all of the cryptocurrency forms. No? So this is the type of malware. And you know that even in our mobile devices, there are malware. So it's not only in our workstation, our PCs, our laptops. No? There's also mobile malware. No? And for my and what I have already investigated and reverse engineered last year, there's the first even iOS. No? We see that they're secured as they said. There's even one iOS malware that I have reverse engineered called Xcode Ghost. So I reverse engineer is very into dynamic event. It's also considered a zero-day malware. Anyhow, that's one. And the third, no, after social engineering, after malware, there are other forms of cybersecurity attacks. No? Can be infecting our smart, our connected cars. Even in the dark, even what you call firmware as a service. If you have software as a service, there's what you call firmware as a service. So if you're able to browse through the other side of the internet, which is the dark web and the deep web, it's two different. Then even if you go to the forums, no, some of them are not even in English dialect. You have to use natural language processing, data science to translate this one and to see what they are discussing. can be Russian, it can be Chinese, it can be Arabic, and so on and so forth. So you know the challenge of PNP and NBI right now when they're doing threat hunting. If our accounts, our personal information, our data is being perused and used in the dark web. There's also botnet as a service. Now, botnet is a higher tier of ransomware event that there's an agent that they can control and your registration, steal information. So there's a lot of those flavors and attributes of the malwares that we have discussed. There's even infection to the retail stores. If we are paying in Jollibee, for example, the point of sales, the cashier, those data there can be also infected, even though they're not connected to the internet. But there is these types of attacks. Even there's point of sales malware, and there's the term in cybersecurity called bug bounty. As you know, there's a flaw in a software. You have to report it in the responsible way. We have to report it to Microsoft, to Google, to Oracle, to HP, and so on and so forth. But if we sell it the other side of the internet, the dark web, you're being paid much higher, right? So the more that you inform them of vulnerabilities and flaws of that technology, the more that you will be rewarded. It's very sad, no? But in bug bounty, you will be rewarded, but the other side of the internet, you will be rewarded times X of uh, those reports or the flaw that we have reported. And as we have discussed about ransomware earlier, there's even as a service in the dark web. Um, so these are the forms of attacks. And when we say denial of service, you're complaining that some of our banking system are not accessible, might be a cyber attack. Or there's also denial of service of our internet. No? They're choking the system, bombarding a lot of information towards the quality of our service of the internet is degrading already. So there's even a service in the dark web that just asked that they wanted to bombard our telco in the Philippines. So is disrupting already our way of life? I wanted to bombard the utility, the Bineco of the world, Panelco, the Meralco of the world. I bombard even one. So that's already a service in the dark web. And even a hacker. Even there's a red as a hacker as a service. So I was alluding that earlier. There is credit card stores. If you're not very careful to our account information, is being stored, very prominent. And there's even these types of tools already. And even our data, if you're not very careful, our digital footprint or digital DNA, that we're not very careful, it can be compromised. It can be reused to apply for driver's license. It can be used to apply for a postpaid account in our telco. And even up to this date, if you have heard about deepfakes, there's even a software while we're using this platform, they can overlay. You've seen that in Snapchat, you've seen that in Messenger. So you can overlay even human identity and use that modulator to impersonate that person. So this is a form of social engineering. So again, this is just a background of what are the cybersecurity attacks. And in combination of all of those three major types that we have discussed, um, all of those combination, we have been hearing about advanced persistent threat. So social engineering plus malware and all of these techniques. So this is just one flow, one journey of hacking, but there's a lot of um, phases of hacking. Can be just a form of observing, reconnaissance, and probing and all of that. So it's very tough, in terms of the defense. Doing contact tracing even. You will know that the reason why the mayor in Baguio is that very critical in contact tracing because he's been doing criminal investigation, drug tracing. He's using the same form in even cybersecurity. So he's applying it to infection of of this nCoV 29. And in this time of social distancing, again, we are all vulnerable because we're using technology, right? And technology as our form of bringing us together, right? To continue our work, for our communication, and adjusting to this new lifestyle. I'm not using new normal, but it's more of an adjusted living. So, and with this technology, the price for our technology-driven convenience is a weekend security. The more that we are not connected in our, let's say, if I'm working in a corporate um, world, I go to the office. Of course, we have our means and ways there, but as we are away working from home, as they say, or remote working, remote studying, the security is weakened. Of course, there's already the data protection that we are alluding to here, right? So, um, I don't. So let me skip the anatomy of an attack because this is more a very detailed one that I discussed. So I'll just go to the defense, or what is the challenges that we as a defense or as a company even are challenged to. So cybersecurity don't sleep day and night 24/7. So very similar to those protectors, our organizations, our companies, our government officials who are focusing in cyber security or cyber data protection. As long as they're very persistent. But the challenge for that, even though that we have a lot of these mechanisms, there's already a gap in a loophole. Right? And for us to know that you're authentic, these are some of the questions. Diba? Are you authorized? Username and password? Are you saying that you're that person? Hindi ba stolen credential yan? Is it that impersonating? Are you doing the Anton way? Are you doing um, your way of, your business as usual? Right? Or are you acting by yourself? And are you transacting with an authorized devices? So these are some of the questions of cybersecurity professionals of defense. And we know this is very challenging to even gain insights. So deducing or interviewing a person, even in a criminal investigation, these are the questions that we ask. In the cybersecurity world, this is also in the defense. This is already the questions that we ask, to let you in the building, in the system, and so on and so forth. So, but again, with all of these questions comes convenience. The more that we provide protections, so this is just a form of a bike, not a car, not a house. The more that we protect, inconvenient na yan. If I wanted to go home, I have to unlock all of this protective mechanism. So, so in any challenges in cybersecurity, the more that we impose security, nawawala yung convenience. Nagdagdagan tayo ng step of authentication in our online, express online. Those questions that we asked earlier, that's the reason why. So anyhow, that is the challenge. Up to this date, in a lot of the companies, a lot of the systems that we are designing, a lot of the a lot of the platforms that we are consuming, there are a lot of security um, mechanisms that we have to apply. So this is just a workflow. What is done in a banking system. So they can even mimic your device. There is this tool, a cybersecurity type of tool that they can mimic, and they can use your device ID because this is one of the information that we see that this is a pristine, this is a unique device that is tied up to and binded up to you. And with that, they can even use that to use a lot of these tools, steal information and steal your credentials to log into your banking account. And with that, from there, they can already perform of what we have discussed earlier. And from there, diba, we have even step-up authentication or mechanisms, one-time PIN, SMS. There's also tools out there to steal that OTP from a hacker standpoint, right? So I'm just sharing this one because it's the real stuff. No? It's being out there, and they can even get your step-up authentication. So anyhow, um, these are just some of the specimens that I have gathered on the infected mobile device. So after that, they can even use the means of social engineering to steal your information, as we have discussed earlier. So if they have taken over your account, may it be your banking account, maybe your social media account, that is over. If they even change your password that you cannot log on anymore, that's the most critical thing. So of course, you have to call the support contact center. To It's very taxing if no one's answering. Then you cannot rely on the government because they're doing a lot of cases in handling a lot of these challenges. So going some protection, I just wanted to enforce what is an architecture, right? Um, so just wanted to share in an IT world, we have a lot of these assets that we have to protect. We have the infrastructure, and we have applications on top of that, and we even have data that we have discussed earlier, is structured and structured, in motion, at rest, and in use, right? And there is the pillar of cybersecurity, which is people. So doing a contact tracing in this accord is very challenging. Who is the user, which data is being consumed, which form of channel or application did it consume, and which infrastructure of asset that it access to, right? And vice versa. What what type. So just stitching all of this together is very challenging in the form of defense. So kaya nga that's the reason why that we have all of these firewalls, encryptions, antivirus. We're working from home. Do we have a secure Wi-Fi? But at the end of the day, um, it's still a human error. No? Again, if we be very careful, see where ourselves is the human antivirus, as they said, right? We are very careful in sharing our data, make all of those forms. No? We are still the one that relies on the protection of our data, right? And in our architecture on how we protect information, of course, we allude to the pillars of cybersecurity, still the people who uses it, who have access to it, the workflows, the processes, or the use cases that's being executed from the top of the technology based on that person. And a good architecture in protection, no? We wanted also to look into what is cybersecurity. No? So it's the people, process, and technology in combination of the right IT in architecture. No? We have the right network, we have the right servers, we have the right operating system, and the right applications. In combination of these two, cybersecurity architecture, and there's a time that we have good design at first. But again, that is the first design that we are discussing, right? So second, that is the right cybersecurity architecture. Second, what are the layers? No? At the end of the day, we still have the cybersecurity layers. We have the security layers. What we are protecting before is the data. At the end of the day, still the crown jewels, as they term it. Before the medieval days, what are the data that they are protecting? So they have the battle plan, we have assets, the holy books, the holy grail, and all of these. So these are the personal information, these are the sensitive information that we are keeping inside the castle. And to protect the castle, we have our defenses. We have our knights, we have our gates, we have our moods, we have our armors. Okay? But in this day of age, we have all of these layers all together. ba yung kay Kevin Mitnick earlier, we have our physical layer, our network protections, right? Our operating system layer, application layer, and even the data layer. So all these protection mechanisms that I'm sorry, these are the protection mechanisms in a cybersecurity world that we have to look into, and we have to adhere to Data Privacy Act and compliance. No, the ISO 2700 X compliance, no? And standards that they set. No? So all of these are these are some of the challenges that we have to look into. No? So let me skip this. Yeah, let me skip this one, no, and go back to what I am. Go ahead, Miss Jenny. Go ahead, Miss Jenny.
Hi,
So,
Anton. 2 more minutes to give way the other programs. Is it okay?
sure, sure.
Okay.
I'll try 2 minutes to finish the
Okay,
content.
go. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. So in those challenges of those layers, no, if we build the compliance, the physical layer, no, that is designed in outside in. But of course, that also creates complexity. The more that we have all of these parameters, all of these layers, no, it's all if we are looking into skills as well. Now, what we wanted to also is why not we build cybersecurity inside out? Why not start um, from the consumer or the end user, or even when we design our application inside out, rather than creating a lot of these layers outside the data? Why not we design our data protection program from the start, awareness program, how we use it, much better, much better. So building it inside out, it's much better. So I just wanted to share some of the data science, data security practices that we have. No? We started inside out. No? Why not we identify what data is sensitive and what not? No? Why not we do a backup and encrypt our data, which is data at rest? In terms of the configuration and policies of our platform, why not we look into all of those areas that needed enforcement? We create the right privileges to who can access our data, no? And going towards the usage data in motion, how can we monitor those people who are using our information? Can we perform real-time blocking, no? Or real-time masking, even as they said, no? Real-time censoring of this data, no? So why not we start in focusing on the data-driven culture in cybersecurity? All right. Um, all right. With that, this is a cycle program that we wanted to mention, and all of the mechanisms and practices that we are doing here should be also enforced. Um, Ms. Jen, just give me a bit of explaining even in the cloud security. No?
Go ahead, go
So
ahead.
yeah, I just wanted also to share this one. No? So in terms of cloud security, you know, where we just wanted to distinguish what is um, managed software as a service. Now, these are your cloud services that we use, an enterprise one. If I'm working in a company or I have in a school, I'm using Google G Suite for education or O365 for education and the like. Now, that is already managed software as a service. But we still have third party. We have to segregate also third party cloud or internet application. And good thing if we have also company issued devices, no? Or let's say devices that have we have visibility to. No? So in 0 day or 0 day trusted model, this is the most this is the best way. This is the most trusted path, no? From a managed device with my antivirus, my data protection. This is the most trusted domain. Versus if wanted to protect our sensitive data, our intellectual property, especially in academia, no? if I wanted to protect it from device to device transfer, from forwarding our those data towards external unmanaged devices, no, in public or even in our collaborators. No? So those are the mechanisms that we have to look into. No? So again, these are the areas that we look into in terms of using cloud application. And especially, we wanted also to restrict data to be shared from rogue or unmanaged devices. No? Because this is the trusted model, no? Those company. But again, there is what we call bring your own device. At least this is somewhat scrutinized, and we have additional layers of protection, identity, one-time PIN, and so on and so forth. And of course, we not know that the device was stolen. Even an unmanaged device, no? We wanted also protect mistake, some of those mistakes of our employees is that I see the same logo of my G Suite. No? Just so happen that I'm uploading data mistakenly, I might have uploaded it to my personal Google Drive, for example, or my personal OneDrive in Microsoft, right? So those are the somewhat the protection mechanisms that we look into these particular areas. And in these areas, this is where, of course, together with WSI, if you wanted to look into all of these protective mechanisms, no, aside from just focusing on the endpoint, but all of these protective mechanisms we can also share on the latter uh, uh, sessions. Even. So just to wrap up, we have the data that we are protecting at the start, no? And this is where cybersecurity and data protection meets halfway, no? From our framework of people, process, technology, from the data protection that we have alluded earlier. This is how we design it. No? If we start data protection, cybersecurity inside out, no? It can definitely help the defense, no? Improving our processes, not only the workflow of our application, but also the operations of our security operation center, and even the people who are helping us, no? The call centers, the security operation center, the data center, and the technologies that they're using. So I have listed a lot of the technologies that can be complemented in our cybersecurity and data protection. Right. And as they said, that the more that we spend time in doing contact tracing, no, at least we will be the earlier that we detect and restrain and eradicate and remediate any problem, not only in cybersecurity but in IT in general. There's lesser cost. But the more that we spend time to perform all of those service management or automation, the higher the cost that we spend. So, and in my dream, and not only cybersecurity, the more that we impose good practices in security, as hoping that we don't even disrupt convenience. So with that, I would like to thank WSI for giving this platform to share my thoughts and my insights in terms of cybersecurity and data protection. Ms. Jenny, thank you very much.
Thank you, Anton. Highly appreciated all the information that you have shared today to our audience as well as to us. Okay, and yeah, so thank you for that, Anton. Okay, so back to you, Jordan, for our next program.
Thank you, Miss Jen, and thank you again, Sir Anton. So, we did not see any questions on the chat box, but if you still have your questions, just type it in. Since we have no questions as of now, we can already proceed with our next presenter. Our partner presenter for today is Ubico, the solution that heightens or complements rather McAfee Security Solutions. Here is Mr. Vincent Santos, the product manager of Ubico for WSI, and Mr. Malcolm Icasas, the technical support engineer for Ubico. Sir Vincent and Malcolm, please take over. Thank you.
Hi everyone, good morning. We are glad you could join us today, and thank you, Jordan. Um, I am Vincent Santos, Product Manager of Ubico at WSI, and we are very excited to present to you a new product, at least here in the Philippines. So it is called a Ubico. So it is a security product. So I am with our technical engineer Malcolm Ikasa. So please join us until the end of the session. So we will have cool prizes to give. Next slide, please. Okay, before I talk about the actual product, let me show you what is happening today. So this is the new normal. Everyone is working from home. So even schools are done online and at home. So this is what is good about technology. It gives you mobility, so we can work anywhere. Next slide, please. Unfortunately, there is a bad side to technology. So these are the hackers. So technology has given rise to a new career, hacking. Hackers are widespread nowadays. So this slide tells you how cyber criminals like to exploit people in times of crisis. So they use these dramatic events that capitalize on fear to drive their agenda. So cyber attacks are real and has already started. So credential phishing is one of the attacks used by hackers because it is very easy, effective, and affordable. So when I say credentials, so that means your email and password. So those two are what hackers want from you. They use this information as part of their campaign, and they create web designs to grab your login credentials. So according to Verizon Data Breach Investigation, 80% of hacking related breaches use stolen credentials. So this is very alarming. So this is a Who website, the most popular website today. So obviously because of the pandemic. So hackers are exploiting this for their own benefit. So they create websites similar to this. It looks legitimate. So the hacker's goal is to fish for your credentials. Or apart from phishing, they can attach a file with malware. When downloaded, it will affect your computers. So another popular example of a hacking crime is hacking Zoom during the pandemic. So everybody knows this. So users are compromised. So fortunately, we can prevent these attacks by using the two-factor authentication. So it begs the question, what is a two-factor authentication? So let me just read. It is a security process in which the user provides two different authentication factors to verify themselves to better protect user credentials. So the most important word there is two. So what are these two? So the knowledge factor and the possession factor. What are the most common examples of two-factor authentication? So everybody's using this is the ATM. So the knowledge factor is what you know, meaning the passcode. And the possession factor, the physical device, is the card. So that's a form of two-factor authentication. So another example, OTP or the one-time password. OTP uses smartphones. Example, when you use online services such as banking app, they will send an SMS message through your smartphone containing a set of numbers. Then you will input those numbers sent through SMS to the application. So um, the cell phone is the possession factor. So this gives assurance to the bank that you are who you say you are. Next slide, please. The possession factor is what the YubiKey is all about. So it is a multi-factor authentication device, also known as a two-factor authentication or simply 2FA. So again, you may ask, why do we need the YubiKey when we already have the existing OTP? So the reason is this. OTP is no longer safe. If you look at the diagram, the lower portion, so all of that OTP, including the SMS, are phishable. So on the upper portion of the diagram are the safe security product. So that includes a smart card. But smart card is very difficult to deploy and use compared to the YubiKey. So in May 2016, this is in the United States, the NIST, or the National Institute of Standard and Technology, already published a guideline recommending the depreciation of SMS authentication. So parts of other parts of the world, the United States and the Europe, they no longer use the SMS OTP. Dito sa Philippines, we are lagging behind. So, but 1 to 2 years from now, we will be transitioning from smart OTP to the hardware-based OTP. Next slide, please. So I will leave you with the video to know more about the Ubico.
No sounds.
Okay.
Yeah, audio is off.
Welcome to Ubico. Our company was founded in Sweden with the mission of making secure login easy and available for everyone. So we invented the YubiKey, a ubiquitous security key for accessing all computers, phones, networks, and online services with a simple touch. To make our dream happen, we've moved part of our team to Silicon Valley, and we worked closely with the internet thought leaders to turn our technology into a global security standard.
Open standards and multiple protocols mean that every YubiKey can be used for hundreds of applications. You can secure your email, password managers, social logins, and at the same time, log into your workstation, all in the same YubiKey.
The YubiKey is trusted and used by 9 out of the top 10 internet companies. These companies have seen account takeovers drop to practically zero.
In order for security to scale, it has to be easy to use. Yubico has shown that with ingenuity and extraordinary focus on key problems, security can be easy. We began by making logins safer for everyone with the YubiKey, and have now created the YubiHSM. It's a tiny, powerful device to protect secrets on servers that's easy to use and accessible for everyone.
If you want to find out if your favorite app or service supports the YubiKey, check out our Works with YubiKey catalog on our site. And when you're ready, pick up a YubiKey from our online store. For developers who want to add YubiKey support into their app or service, we have tons of great resources available to help make the integration process simple.
We won't let the fraudsters limit the internet. Join the security revolution.
Okay, thank you, Jordan. At this point, I will turn you over to our technical engineer, Malcolm Casas, um, to discuss the technical specifications of Ubico. Malcolm, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Vincent. So for today, I will discuss you about the Ubico and how Ubico protects you from man-in-the-middle attacks, also from phishing. So, but first, I will introduce you the Ubico. So Ubico is manufactured in Sweden and US, and they have a 10 years of innovation and security. And eight of the top 10 technology companies like GitHub, Google, Microsoft, four of the top 10 US banks like Bank of America, Amex, two of the top three global retailers like Walmart, and only Ubico was approved by the US Department of Defense as the second factor authentication. So YubiKey is also a waterproof and crash resistance. And also they are the principal author of U2F authentication standard. This is a protocol made by Ubico, partner with Google, and principal author of FIDO 2.0 web authentication for the web services or online services accounts. Then they are the board member of FIDO Alliance. FIDO means by Fast Identity Online. Then these are the following protocol of Ubico. So um, we have the OpenPGP or the Pretty Good Privacy, and PID, also known as smart card. Then we have also OTP for the following application and only services that don't support FIDO U2F. Then FIDO U2F created by Ubico and Google, and FIDO 2.0 created by Ubico and Microsoft. So the difference between the U2F and 2.0 is a passwordless feature of 2.0. You can use it to all of Microsoft products or only services of Microsoft. So we have a different types of YubiKeys. So first, for the individual consumer, we have the security key series. We have a security key with USB-A communication, and also security key NFC with a near field communication feature. So for this, you can use the security key NFC to your mobile devices with NFC capable. And also, we have the YubiKey 5 series. This is for the individual consumer and business government. The most popular YubiKey is the YubiKey 5 NFC. You can use it to your computers, laptops, and also to your mobile devices with NFC capable. And also we have a YubiKey 5C. You can use this YubiKey 5C to all of your devices with USB-C communication. And also we have a nano type of YubiKey 5C. This is YubiKey 5C Nano, and we have also a YubiKey 5 Nano for the USB-A communication, and also we have a YubiKey 5CI. This is for the Lightning communication and USB-C communication, so you can use it to your iPhones and also to your Androids. Then we have a YubiKey 5C NFC for the Type C communication and also for the NFC communication. So, unique selling points of the YubiKey. YubiKey is very easy to use. Why? Because you only need to do is register your key to your accounts or to your devices, then insert the YubiKey and tap in to your phone, tap it to your phone if you have an NFC. Then YubiKey is also stronger security than the other authentication solution like RSA Secure ID, SMS OTP, because it can stop phishing and man-in-the-middle attacks. Then one YubiKey, you can use that to all of your accounts and to all of your devices. Then the quality and standard, industry best practice, yes, and best TCO reduced IT support costs because the only investment is the YubiKey. You don't have to buy a server, a network connection, databases to use this two-factor authentication. So How YubiKey can stop phishing? So first, you access your email account, but the phisher or the fraudster sent you an email, and that email includes a link that once you click that, you will go straight to the phishing website. Then you don't know what to do, or you don't know what is the real website, or you didn't notice the link if that website is an original website. So you provide your credentials. So once you provide your credentials, the fraudster, the phisher, successfully get that. So they will use that to access the original website. But if you have a YubiKey on the original website on your account, to that online services account, um, the fraudster, even they get your credentials, they cannot access your account because they don't have the YubiKey in their possession. Next, how YubiKey can stop the man in the middle attacks. So first, your device is connected directly to your online services account. But the man in the middle attacks create a new connection and blocks the original connection, so they can monitor the transferring of data on how you enter your credentials. So and what is the OTP receives to your device then and manually keyed into your online services account. All of that can be monitored by the hacker. So if your online services account is YubiKey enabled, the fraudster cannot access your account even they get all of your credentials because they don't have the YubiKey in their possession. So this is a case study from Duke University. So in 2012, the Duke IT organization began looking for strong security methods to protect user accounts from threats such as phishing, keyloggers, and weak or stolen passwords. So um, what are the requirements? There, number one, easy to deploy, easy to use, and 100 safe and secure. So only YubiKey can meet the security requirements by the Duke University. So the result is zero account takeovers, and 0% of um, data breach. So secure our school by secure our accounts. So how is that? So this the users or the client users. So basically they have an account. So example is the Office 365 or G Suite. So the Office 365 and G Suite have our some of our documents, data. Then the hackers get the user credentials. So they can successfully access the Office 365 or the G Suite, and they can easily get the documents or the data and informations of your account. And if your account or if the Office 365 and the G Suite is readily YubiKey enabled, so the hacker or the fraudster uh, unsuccessfully get your data. So hackers versus security administrators. So example, this is the user and connected to the server, and the server have the identity of all the um, client users. So the client users have their own data. So if the fraudster successfully get the credentials of the administrator, they can easily penetrate the network and also get the data of the client users. So yes. So if the administrator um, is YubiKey secured, the hackers or the fraudster, the man in the middle attacks, is unsuccessfully to access your accounts, yeah, and successfully penetrate network to get your documents and data. So also, the client users also need to secure it by YubiKey to 100% sure that the data is secured. So this is the trivia. Yubico and Google have their own case study. So Google have their own two-factor authentication, but they have a partnership with YubiKey, and according to Google, OTP through mobile apps and SMS didn't stop phishing. So YubiKey made mandatory for Google employees and contractors. So all of the employees and contractors of Google are required to use YubiKey. So the result is zero account takeovers, four times faster to log in because on the OTP they have to wait a certain time to receive the OTP, and they need to manually key into the website. For the YubiKey, you need to insert the YubiKey and tap it. So in that easy way, you access your account. Then 92% support cost reduction because YubiKey is very easy to use. So these are the following partnership with Yubico. So we have um, Google, Microsoft, and we have also for the password manager, LastPass, and client for the I IAM, Identity Access Management. We have Azure Active Directory. We have also for the VPN client and remote access services like Symantec, and also for the computer operating system, Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and Red Hat. So what some of our clients asking, what if I want YubiKey to be integrated on our own application, on our own software? Yes, you can do that. YubiKey have a program called Works with YubiKey. You only need to do is go to yubico.com and click the Works with YubiKey and fill up the form. So once you submit the form, the YubiKey support will contact you to talk about your requirements about the YubiKey integration on your own application. So, soft and hard token versus single touch YubiKey. So frustration level, yes, because sometimes the user cannot receive their OTP because of the signal, and RSA token needs also a battery. So sometimes the battery is so very low and it's so hard to receive the OTP. Then in the YubiKey, you don't need to wait for a certain time to access your account, because what you only need to do is to insert your key on your computers and tap it your mobile devices. Then in YubiKey, you don't need to manually key in the OTP. You don't need to wait for the OTP, or because YubiKey designed for that, because to protect you for the potential data errors, and it's very unacceptable for you to not to access your account. So, for some our presentation, this is our frequently asked question. So they're asking, what would happen if a user loses to F device or the YubiKey? So yeah, treat your YubiKey as your car key, that you have a duplicate on that, because you can enable multiple YubiKeys on one account. So if the YubiKey, your primary key was lost, you can revoke that using the secondary YubiKey. So, and also someone asked before that what if my YubiKey was stolen? Can someone access my account? It depends. If the thief knows your credential and have your YubiKey on your account, have your YubiKey in their possession, yes, they can use that. They can access your account. So Be confident that your accounts are safe and secure. Use YubiKey.